Namaste, dear listeners, and welcome to the Iowa channel Astral In with Abhi, Oneness in Astrology and Spirituality, bringing in awareness by Abhi. If you are new on the channel, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, and share this podcast to as many people that you think will benefit from this. Now, this is a fantastic question that I've got to answer today, and this is Hello, Abhi. Please, can you tell me how to end a karmic relationship, a soul tie? Okay, this question I've got so many times, and I've done so many lives on my TikTok channel on this. And I think it's very important to do a podcast so that in future I can refer all my new clients directly onto the podcast to have an insight or my insight on how to release karmic relationships. Well, firstly, there's also the word soul tie given here. Let's understand what a soul tie is first. Let's understand what soul is. Soul is you and I, who we are. Soul means spirit, pure consciousness. That's who we are. We are having a human experience in the body, and when that experience becomes more than what we can handle, and when it starts to bring us pain, we call it a soul tie. So, soul ties can also be habits, they can be relationships. Soul ties are not purely relationships. Soul ties are anything that has a grip over you. But I understand this question is coming purely from relationships because here the person is saying karmic relationships. So, what is a karmic relationship? Let's understand what's karma. Karma is neither good or bad. Karma is action. Now, depending on your action, there's a direct consequence to it, or there's a consequence to it which gives you either a good experience or a lousy experience. Now, obviously, here it's a lousy experience. So, this is a karmic relationship. So, how do we end such a habit? I'd like to call this a habit because a habit is something that you have no control over. You have the inability to have control over the mind. The mind is in control. So, how do we end a karmic relationship or a soul tie? Well, very clearly, it states, or I'm stating that an inability to control the mind brings you to a point of habits. So, here you've got a habit in the relationship, a soul tie. How to end this? It means to gain control over the mind. Now, I have done a podcast on how to gain control over the mind. I've done a podcast on meditation. What is meditation? I've done a podcast on the four types of yoga. I've done a podcast on what is spirituality. If you will listen to all of that, it'll make sense to you more so. But nevertheless, I'm still going to answer this here. How do we gain control over the mind? Well, firstly, this is involves a lifelong. It's a lifelong exercise and not just a 1 month thing. So gaining control over the mind, firstly, you have to admit that, look, I'm in a position where I've lost control over myself. Why? Because I have allowed my mind to take over. Once you get to the acceptance stage, then comes the second phase. Okay, now that I have lost control over my mind, I need to make sure that I gain control over the mind. I need to start dissolving the mind. And how to dissolve the mind? Well, the first thing I would tell you to do is to start meditation. Number one, meditation. Meditation is the ability brings you to a point where you harness the ability to still the mind. Stilling the mind means it's not going from here to there, bringing you, intensifying emotions and in making it more worse for you. So when you still the mind, this allows you that space between you and the actual problem that you're experiencing. And once that space gets wider and way wider, you will realize that you are not entangled in it anymore. The moment you are in pain, it means that you are entangled with such trauma. Now, it's easier said than done. Now, I'm human as well, so I've been through this many times with different habits. So, the way to overcome this is to meditate, to create a distance between you and the habit. And this happens with time and consistency in your meditation. Also, your eating, make sure you're eating light food, plant based food, fruits, veggies, uh, nuts, and all of that. Make sure you're having a bath twice a day. I've done a podcast on sun gazing. Make sure you absorb the energy of the sun every morning and every afternoon or midday. Make sure at least 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight you're getting to improve the vitamin D in your system. The vitamin D is brings about a happy state of consciousness. Make sure that your clothes are clean. You're wearing fresh clothes. Make sure your space in your house is clean. Make sure your space around is uncluttered. Make sure there's enough space to walk around and pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to things around you. Start bringing yourself to be more conscious of the way you eat, conscious of the plants, the animals, the trees, the sun. Pay attention to the ground that you walk on. Acknowledge, be grateful for life itself. This is gratitude. I've done a podcast on the power of gratitude. Make sure you're showing gratitude for what you have within you or what you are as life. And make sure that you are surrounding yourself with intellectual people, not intelligent, but intellectual people, people that can help you in your spiritual process. I have done a podcast on what spirituality is. Please make sure you check my podcast on spirituality. Now, untangling yourself from a tangled situation is what a karmic traumatic relationship is. And this is all about the mind. The mind is holding karmic memory, memory of events, and this is playing out in the mind. Therefore, intellect means that I need to release or untangle myself, or I need to dissolve the mind like sugar to water. I need to dissolve it. And this goes back to meditation, a consistent approach to meditation, controlling of the breath, watching the breath, the air going into your nostrils, into your lungs, and breathing out the dark, heavy, toxic energy. Breathing in the white, pure, clean energy, breathing out the dark, heavy, toxic energy. Paying attention, focusing on the breath. This is breath meditation, or meditation by paying consciousness to your breath. Focusing on your breath, being conscious to breath. Breath is life. So these are the ways that you can overcome it. And if you apply all of these things that I have told you, you will be out of that karmic relationship or soul tie or habit, I would like to describe, in a matter of 7 days. Yes, that's right, in a matter of 7 days. If you apply whatever I've told you consistently in a matter of 7 days, in seven lunar days, or 7 days, you'll be out of that. As the sun's placement over sun on a Sunday, sun on a Monday, sun on a Tuesday, sun on 7 days, you'll be out of that. But you have to be consistent. I've had some people that apply this and they're out of it in 21 days. Some people are out in 5 days. Some people are out in 12 days. Some people are out in 1 month. And then you've got some people that are still stuck in it because the meditation is very difficult to do. There's no desire to lose the mind because there is so much of entanglement with other material um, desires. Right? So, and this is how toxic relationships are born. When you move from one to the next, you're healing yourself. Without creating that distance between you and the problem, you allow yourself to fill in that void with another piece of life. And this is how toxic relationships are born. So thank you very, very much, dear listeners. I hope this answers your question. Jai Shri Ram, Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Shri Krishna, and Hari Bol. Goodbye.